Okay guys, welcome to the GTU. I'm Kevin Bosse with Tudor Gold Corp and Goldstorm Metals Corp. Our team at Tudor made one of the biggest gold discoveries of the last 30 years with the Goldstorm gold copper porphyry discovery at Treaty Creek. And looking ahead to build our discovery pipeline, we spun out Tudor's Crown project into a new company named Goldstorm Metals Corp in honor of the find at Treaty Creek. So both companies share the same technical team and are on the verge of new drill discoveries at both Treaty Creek and the Crown project. Forward-looking statements. So the contents of this presentation will include an intro to the Sulphurets district and the discovery of the Goldstorm deposit at Treaty Creek, global trends of spatial periodicity, applying this pattern as a vector in the discovery of perfect storm at Treaty Creek, and taking our learnings to the Crown project and discovery of the Copernicus zone. So here's another version of the Golden Triangle map of northwestern British Columbia. You'll see a lot of this in this video series. You see some of the prolific mines, past producing and present producing in the area. And you can see here beside Esky Creek, KSM, and Brucejack, the Treaty Creek property to the north and the Crown property to the south. So looking a little closer at our neighborhood, here's a simplified regional map of the Sulphurets district showing a few important relationships. The major deposit footprints are shown in yellow. Kerr, Sulphurets, Mitchell, and Iron Cap are the copper gold porphyries that make up Seabridge's KSM project. You can see that they are a linear cluster of porphyries aligned along the Sulphurets Thrust Fault that comes up through the mill here. You can also see that they're evenly spaced at about 3 kilometers distance apart from each other. Our Goldstorm deposit is the 6th discovery along this prolific fault, and it is about 6 kilometers away from Iron Cap. As a major regional fault, the Sulphurets thrust likely provided the plumbing for the extensive hydrothermal metal deposition in the area. As you can see, the fault extends southward right through the center of Goldstorm's Crown project, making a key prospective target zone. The Brucejack high-grade gold silver deposit is located in close association with the Brucejack fault, which is another important regional structure that extends northward to the Treaty Creek property and possibly southward down to the Crown property. Another important observation is the proximity of all of these deposits to the Triassic-Jurassic unconformity known as the Khyber Red Line. This highlights a very fruitful period in geologic time. The timescale on the right side of the image shows the ages of major BC porphyry and porphyry-related gold deposits. And you can see that most of them are located around this transition and dated to the latest Triassic and early Jurassic, including Goldstorm, KSM, and Brucejack. So Goldstorm was essentially a blind discovery achieved through drilling, as the deposit was found in the footwall of the major thrust fault and buried below dead hanging wall rocks and glacial ice. 196,000 meters of drilling has delineated an impressive gold-copper resource. Our 2026 mineral resource estimate update was actually just released this morning. And the all-encompassing indicated resource is now 24.9 million ounces of gold at a grade of 0.85 grams per ton. This represents a 15% increase from our 2024 resource. But the most exciting news is the higher cutoff sensitivities we use to take advantage of our higher grade gold domains. So the 2026 MRE included an NSR value cutoff at different levels. NSR values at $125 USD per ton and $175 USD per ton highlight higher grade cores within the domains and guide upcoming PEA work toward a comprehensive and actionable mine plan. The deposit model was reevaluated to include emerging preferred subparallel mineralized structural corridors through relogging, geochemistry, and vein density calculations. So taking a look at what that looks at, you can see the global resource at an NSR of $50 a ton. And when you When you pare that down to the higher grade of 1.78 grams per ton, we have 5.8 million ounces at a $125 NSR per ton. And then a $175 NSR per ton at a gold grade of 2.33 grams per ton. With the Goldstorm deposit growing towards mine planning stages, it was time for our technical team to move on to new discoveries. Keeping the strategy simple, we looked at an obvious gap in a pretty clear spatial pattern. If Goldstorm was found 6 kilometers away from a chain of 3 kilometer spaced porphyries, then it would be reasonable to find another deposit between Iron Cap and Goldstorm to complete the perfect periodicity. So let's look at the global trends of spatial periodicity. It's a common phenomenon in magmatic hydrothermal systems around the world. Periodic spacing along the Central American volcanic arc was studied, and all the major volcanic centers were found to be about 150 kilometer wavelength from each other. Taking that a little bit closer to home, a similar pattern emerges in the Cascade volcanic arc, and you can see Mount Baker looking over Vancouver. In the ore deposit world, porphyry epithermal belts also show periodic spacing around the world. This is the Walker Lane trend going through Nevada, Arizona, and into New Mexico. There's a number of very large copper moly porphyries through Arizona and New Mexico along this break, as well as a number of epithermal gold and silver deposits in Nevada. I actually have some experience working in Nevada for P2 along this trend. On the right, you can see the copper porphyries in Chile along the D'Amico fault system, and both of these trends show about 100 to 130 kilometer spacing between deposit camps. Geology often shows fractal relationships, and you might see the same kind of spacing trends in large district scales and camp scales, as well as deposit scales. And this is the Yanacocha district in Peru, showing about a 5 kilometer spacing between epithermal deposits. So applying this pattern as a vector in the discovery of perfect storm at Treaty Creek. So Ken Konkin has long used spatial periodicity as a simple yet effective vectoring tool for discovery. He and other members of the Tudor upper management team, Ken McNaughton, Joe Ofsenek, have a long history of discovery with Pretium Resources with the Brucejack mine, and before that with Silver Standard Resources, where they successfully employed this pattern recognition in the discovery of La Piteria silver deposit along the central Mexican silver belt. They identified the gap in a regular spaced string of large deposits and staked the claims, and through some good systematic exploration came out with a 500 million ounce silver deposit. Konkin was able to identify the potential for the Goldstorm deposit based on his experience delineating the Snowfields East Mitchell deposit nearby. He was the first one to point out that Goldstorm was twice the periodic spacing of the KSM deposits, and that there must be another one hiding halfway to complete the perfect periodicity. You can see this from a press release from 2023, indicating our intention to drill the perfect storm zone halfway between Iron Cap and Seabridge, or between Iron Cap and Goldstorm. The perfect storm hypothesis was supported by decades of excellent surface geochemistry in the area, as well as by the presence of strong magnetic anomalies. The location was also at the projected confluence of the Brucejack and Sulphurets faults, the plumbing systems for the KSM and Brucejack deposits. This led to the original name of the zone as the perfect structural storm. So here's a photo looking north from the KSM area over the Iron Cap deposit in the foreground and the Goldstorm deposit in the background. And you can see perfect storm zone about halfway between the two. And we've also included the projected traces of the Brucejack fault and Sulphurets fault coming through the zone. So it was the perfect structural storm, but the perfect storm had a better ring to it. Here's a cross-section of initial drill results in the northeast perfect storm zone, showing a very similar pattern in grade distribution to what was found at Goldstorm, with a central copper-gold dominant zone and an upper gold dominant zone. You can see the difference in scale here with the first fan at Perfect Storm showing about 250 to 500 meters across, whereas the Goldstorm deposit is now over 1.5 kilometers across. So this could be related to the first few drill holes we had into this system at Goldstorm back in 2019, before we followed the grade down dip and found the true heart of the system. So this is a cross section from the southwest Perfect Storm zone, showcasing the best interval drilled so far at Perfect Storm in PS 2310, with 102 meters of grading 1.23 grams per ton gold. Again, this is reminiscent of the Goldstorm upper gold zone, with long intervals averaging 1 to 2 grams per ton, spiced by discrete high-grade structures grading over 20 grams per ton. So you can see these big gold spikes. And these results will be followed up this summer with a fully funded drill program. So we took our learnings and moved down to the Crown project with Goldstorm Metals Corp and made a discovery at the Copernicus zone. So stepping back out to look at the regional mineral trends before we move south, once again we can see the obvious Treaty KSM porphyry deposit trend extend southward along the Sulphurets Fault and through the center of the Crown project. We can also see periodicity in precious metals that extends from Stewart up through the well-known historic Premier and Scotty gold mines, up through the eastern wing of the Crown project, through the Brucejack mine, and up towards Treaty Creek. Looking specifically at the 3-kilometer porphyry periodicity that we have had success with at Treaty Creek, here's a projection of hypothetical 3-kilometer space targets moving southwards through the Crown. This north part of the Crown is very rugged, very remote, and heavily glaciated, which prevents the effective exploration through most of this corridor. The best bedrock exposure on this trend is at the Orion Spine, a ridge of rock protruding from the middle of the Frank Mackey Glacier. So that's where we focused our efforts. This map shows gold assay values for rock samples collected by the Goldstorm Metals team from 2023 to 2025, as well as iron oxide gaussons in orange, mapped by hyperspectral satellite imaging. The snow and ice cover in the high north claims prevent effective exploration, but pervasive alteration is visible in the limited outcrop, indicating that the ground does have potential for porphyry mineralization. Also, a drill hole drilled by Teuton in 2012, H1201, intersected 222 meters of 0.88 grams per ton gold. This King Tut zone is near to our northern claim boundary and also near to the Brucejack mine. This also highlights the porphyry potential in this northern part of the claims. Also shows that we probably have room for a few more discoveries in this northern block as the glaciers retreat. The Copernicus zone was found by prospecting in 2023. It's a large gold, copper, silver target hosting lenses of massive sulfide and found to be coincident with a very large magnetic anomaly. The Orion Spine hosts multiple gold zones, but Copernicus hosts the most profound copper anomaly, in addition to the gold. Our team has continued to develop the target through extensive mapping and through a variety of geophysical surveys. A 3D ground IP revealed a chargeability anomaly strongly coincident with the copper-gold rock geochemistry at surface. Additionally, a ground MT survey found a large, deep resistivity low below Copernicus that extends down the length of the Orion Spine. The scale and intensity of the resistivity low anomaly is very similar to that found at the Goldstorm deposit at Treaty Creek. The strong coincidence of resistivity low, chargeability high, and juxtaposed mag high and low anomalies, along with the high-grade copper and gold rock assays, suggests the presence of a large copper, gold, silver porphyry system at depth. So now we're ready to test it with a drill. This is our exploration manager, Jeff Austin, and I think he knows where we're putting that drill. Here's our proposed phase 1 drill program to drill test Copernicus this summer. So in conclusion, spatial periodicity is a common pattern in global mineral deposit clusters. It can be used as a simple and effective first pass in exploration target generation. Tudor Gold and Goldstorm Metals are strategically set up for discovery at the northern and southern fronts of the Sulphurets Thrust Fault system. Tudor Gold will continue to add the value of Treaty Creek with a drill program to advance the discovery of Perfect Storm in 2026. Goldstorm Metals will undertake the maiden drill program at the Crown project, targeting a discovery at the Copernicus zone in 2026. So our targets are ready, we're cashed up, and we're ready to drill. Thanks.